Alright y'all, another big thing happened. Time for another build. And you guys have been asking for this style build. I'm happy to be giving it out. So I had a fan, built this mower when he was 16. It's got a bunch of work that needs to be done, and I mean a bunch. But it is going to be one of the coolest rigs we got. Let's get right over this thing. It's at the end of the garage. Let's get into it. As you guys might be noticing, some of you guys, that ain't no regular gas engine. So this thing features a nice diesel engine. It's got a lot of belt stuff going on. It's got a really cool transaxle in here. This one also features a cool gearbox. The clutch is on the wrong side, so that's going to get a cable clutch over. A bunch of other stuff, hydro brakes. But the big thing is getting this thing back to normal. As you can see, the hood's been extended up very high. As you come over to here, you may notice it's got a Honda Civic muffler and a dirt bike muffler. Big battery box, and like, I mean, it just doesn't look right, but I'm telling you, this thing's gonna be cool. This thing's got the parts I love. 5-bolt 12-inch rims, perfect to get swapped. It's also got nice 8-inch front rims, so those are decent. It's got a pretty janky steering and front axle, so I'll have to rebuild that. But you guys might see here, pull start and electric start. This thing is cool, and it's gonna be our first diesel build. This mower is a 1964 Simplicity Landlord. So it features a awesome, I don't know the exact style transaxle, but it has already been locked, but he locked it before me, so that's pretty cool. It's got this very long belt system with a bunch of stuff going on. Front axle. The motor here was actually taken off of a diesel generator, so we just welded the plate in there, so I'm gonna have to clean that all up. Gonna lower the hood back to its original height, take off that big stack exhaust thing, redo all that, fix the steering wheel up, and like damn, I've been saying, manual transmissions, so this one is a 3-speed. This mower also came with a high-low transaxle, but I don't have that model. But as you guys are seeing, this is the new build, the diesel build, and I am excited for it. This thing is so cool. Okay, yeah. Not up to my standards, but that's all right. I'm gonna make it my standards here. So I hope you guys are excited. Diesel build coming your guys' way. These things are really not that easy to push in by yourself when they got really flat tires and are heavy. But I can't stress it enough, if you're wanting to get into the off-road mower scene, having a heavy-duty lawnmower is always a good idea. May not be the best suited for what your application is, but I can guarantee you it'll do basically everything you want. You just got to be careful of that weight. But you can always take weight off these things too. You can start with a heavy machine, cut a bunch of shit off, add the stuff you need, and be on your way. Or start with a light-duty frame and then add a bunch of metal to make it strong and stuff. Because these things love to frame twist and bend if they're not the greatest. I know wheel horses and that Ford 140 I have, the ones that have angle iron chassis, they tend to bend if you don't reinforce them. So I know a lot of the wheel horse guys and some of the Ford guys do that as well. On this one though, it's got a really cool chassis, and it's already been, well, extremely hit with some welder. So a lot of stuff needs to get cut off and stuff, especially this exhaust, because this thing's giving me a headache. So I'm going to cut that off just so I don't have to stare at it anymore and toss it out so I don't have to look at it. Get rid of a lot of this other stuff to see what I'm actually dealing with. I did notice that the steering has a decent setup down to the gear setup, but after that, just trash. This front axle is super wonky, but it is what it is. It's just a flat bar, half-inch flat bar that's been bent and added some spindle tubes too. So it's kind of weird, but whatever. I'm definitely digging the whole back end here, lifting this up so you can get to your belt setup. I'm going to try and keep that the same and then add some tube work around this, or just add the tube work onto all this, because like you can't lift off this fender and you need somewhere to lift. Back bumper too. Anyways, I'm thinking because of this whole empty open spot right here and there's only just this tiny little foot pan, I'm going to do some nice tube running boards into here with the Rogue Fab bender and get that all looking nice. Plus, then you'll have a nice area for your feet to lie when it's not just on this plate. As you guys can also notice, the clutch is all the way over on the wrong side. I know some guys like it on the side, but we definitely do not. It does not work with us. It's not the same as a vehicle, and I know I don't like to relate these two vehicles, but having the clutch on your left foot is the way you need it, because the gas is always on your right. Regardless of what city, state, frickin' province, America, I don't even know, wherever you are, it's always the same. So keep it that way. what we're going to do is take this pedal off and put it on the other side. Now, we're not actually going to run the linkage because that's a lot of work. What we've done to a previous mower, Scrappy, is added a cable system into it. So that's what I'm going to be doing to this. Take this off, put it on the other side, build up a bracketry to hold the cable, because it doesn't take much to do the clutch. And this is one of my favorite style clutches, where it actually clutches on the rear of the transaxle. I don't know if you guys can see that too well, but it clutches on the back here. This big belt setup on that side, now that's a whole nother mess I got to get rid of and re-deal with, but that's not actually the clutching side. This side is in the back, way up high, so your belt never gets wet unless you're really swamping this thing. And that's the beauty, that this thing will be able to get swamped pretty deep. Now, like I was saying, I can just get rid of all this, put the cable in, and we're on our way, because it's super easy to freaking hit the clutch, and you don't need much for the clutch to stop. Now, another cool thing about the rear gearbox here is that other than the transaxle being so beefy, it has this front gearbox that goes from one side of the mower input to the other side and then back to the transaxle. But tucked in here under all this shifter plating and the frame is a little PTO shaft. So I can make something happen with that, I believe, and I think that's going to be really sweet. That's enough of me talking. Let's get into tearing this thing apart and figuring it out. I am so excited for this build. It's so cool. Never had a mower like this. Let's just be real, people. Every time I get something in here, it turns into something even cooler. So let's get right into this thing. Big tires, big diesel, big torque, and a hell of a lot of fun to come. Let's get it going, people. Woo! I'm so hyped. This thing's leaking all over my goddamn floor. First thing to do, tear that thing off. Some great progress here. The seat's off, all this side of the belt system's off. We're pulled off the gas tank. We're starting to take out all of this. So the only issue I'm noticing here is if you look down on the engine here, you can see that the frame has been cut. This is originally, the front of the frame was actually down here. So this thing sits a lot higher. That's why this is all up here like that. So I'm going to need to rearrange all this to make it look nice, but I don't want to have to cut out all of this stuff because that's a lot more work than I anticipated. Other thing I'm looking at is I might flop this front axle around, try and build it nice and cool, and be on my way. But I always do not like these side steering bars, so I have to figure something out in there too. But this thing's coming along. I turned over the engine by hand. It's got a shit ton of compression, so I'm super hyped about that. Only thing I don't like is when I do that, a lot of water comes out the exhaust over there. So hopefully it didn't get all the way up here and into the engine. We'll figure that out once I cut it off next. But got a bunch of pulleys and a bunch of bolts. He used all grade 8 bolts, so that was unreal. So everything on all these studs, everything over here and all this stuff is all nice grade 8 stuff, so free stuff for me. Seats all trash. I got a new one at the storage, so unreal. Super cool steering wheel. Definitely going to keep that because, well, it's freaking awesome. Anyways, yeah, let's get on to some more stuff. Alright, so we got some good news. Now, that exhaust was completely full of water, but because he had so many weird angles and shapes, the top tube is nice and dry. I mean, she's kind of wet, but she wasn't full of water, which was nice. So I'm hoping that the engine isn't full of water. Now I'm going to open it up and figure out, see if there's water in the oil and all that kind of crap. But it's nice to know that when I cut back here, no water leaked out. But that exhaust was completely full of water. Plus, not to mention that exhaust probably weighed a good 35 pounds, which is absolutely insane. So that should drop this mower's weight substantially. It's already starting to look 100 times better. As you can see, toss down the hood here for you guys. Super cool hood. I love how it works. But yeah, there she is. I mean, she's way too big up in the back, but we'll figure it out, people. Don't you worry. Also, going to pick up new metal for the tracks build today and some tube for this build. So all the metal is going to be here. It's going to be awesome. I am excited. check it out. I cut out that whole contraption there, and we're actually left with a mower now. Big dirty diesel engine. All this freaking room. So, custom dash, tube work, all the coolness is gonna go on there, cool exhaust. I might just leave this. This ain't too bad. That's pretty bad, so I'll cut it here and then go custom off of that. But rolling coal, for everyone who wants to know, that will be happening. It can. He said it already did roll coal before. But anyways, you can see this winch setup in here. It's not the greatest setup, but I'm gonna try and make it work. I'm just gonna reposition it because it's very angled dangled in there, and I don't even know if it works. So I gotta make sure it works for one, but then I'll get it all set up nicely in there. But you guys can see this nice, beautiful steering gear setup. That's pretty decent with the U-joint on here. I mean, it ain't the greatest U-joint, but I mean, not very much play, so that's decent. And nice big gears with not much play. So I actually just got back from Tony's cabin where I store a lot of my parts, and I'll show you guys exactly what I picked up. Got a nice, beautiful Craftsman I'm working on. Nice cutting grass mower, whatever, or nice grass cutting mower, that's what you call it. So I'm flipping this one to sell it, to pay off this new project. But just picked up the new tires, 25 10x12s. Picked up a new seat, and then under the seat is the front tires, which are 19 8x8s. So that will be freaking awesome. All free, just up at the storage. Nice to have a bunch of spare parts. So as you also can see in the background, I picked up some tubing, and then on top of the tubing is some solid 1/2-inch bar, which I'll be using for the tracks build. So if you're paying any attention to that build, I got some parts that have been waiting in for that, so that's gonna get going here soon. Anyways, metal, tires, seat, all this crap taken off, we're ready to go. So let's get this thing, get going, and keep on moving along here. You're probably wondering why I'm not just starting with the engine to make sure it runs, but regardless if this engine runs or not, this build is going to happen. So I'm going to build it. I'm going to learn more about some diesel engines because I'm a gas guy. I'm a 4-stroke gas guy. I don't deal with 2 strokes, and I don't really deal with diesels. This is a 4-stroke diesel, I know that. But yeah, I'm not too sure what I'm dealing with here. It's got a lot of different things than the gas engines, and they're just set up different. So I'm going to do a bunch of learning with that, get my brain all learned up on that, and then I'll start dicking around with that. But until then, there's so much more work I can do, and it'd be awesome to get this thing on some tires and on the front axle that I'd like, and get it all, well, get it like how I want it. So let's get to it. Yeah. So if you guys know me, I love putting the tires on to see what my build's gonna start to look like. I love this. Now, I went ahead and added my 2-inch Jeep wheel spacers, and as you guys can see, these aren't seated yet because well, I bought the wrong valves, so I got to get the actual ones to go into the holes, and then get these things all aired up and ready to go. But these are freaking awesome. Some 25 10x10s, or 10x12s, I mean. It's coming together. Front, this thing just looks like a towing beast right now with this little front dinky end. I mean, I still don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this front axle, but I mean, as far as the rest goes, I'm loving it. Alright, once again, the Rogue Fab Bender strikes, and man, does it do some work. Now, I'm using some 065 wall, which is the lightest wall I bend with this bender, and I'm having some amazing results today. So, didn't fill the tube, didn't sand it, didn't water it, anything, didn't pressurize the tube, just bent it as is. Check this out, 065 wall, no deformations. Wow! Freaking love it. I'm building some running boards for this thing because, as you guys can see, I cut off the old little foot pedals there, and I'm going to have some full running board, skid board things. So, these things are going to be awesome, but yeah, I just got to say, this bender just works way too good. It's so easy to use. It was so nice to be able to clock this thing in at what angle I needed, because as you can see, these aren't lined up with each other, and I got the angle just. What I was saying is I was able to clock the bend, the 90 at the right angle by putting this up to the frame, putting the block on the clamp block loosely, and then putting this at a 90, the pipe, to where I think I want that bend to go. And like I said, it worked out beautifully. Got it clocked in awesome. So I'll get the clamp off and I'll hold it up there and you guys can see what I'm talking about. This is what I mean by perfect. So once I hold this up to the frame, as you guys can see, the 90 sits nice and level, and I got a nice up bend here, so I can weld this on and fill it in with some tubing. But damn, I really hope I can replicate it on the other side. I made some cheater marks here so that I can put the bender in, or the clamp block at the right spot. I just gotta clock it in at the right angle again. But I mean, damn, check that out. That's freaking awesome. That's an unreal piece of tube bend, and like, that's freaking cool. I'll snag another angle for you guys. Right? Am I like, it's gonna come in just a hair, but I mean, like, am I not right? It's so freaking perfect. I love it. Now you'll be able to put your foot anywhere you want over here. Clutch pedal will be right there. Clutch pedal will be right here. Same location, just opposite side. The nice thing about the clutch pedal is that it has a full mounting bracket, so it's gonna fit just perfectly. I just gotta bore a hole out and then mount a bracket. But essentially, like, we're kicking ass here. This is unreal. I love this shit. Alright, so we're trying to figure out this back fender, back bumper tube setup. So far I got this nicely bent tube in here. It looks freaking awesome along with all the other tubing that's in there. Try and get you guys. So just like a fraction of the tubing that's going to be happening here. There's going to be a custom dash tube, or custom tube dash that's going to go in there. I'm going to fill all this in, and of course lots more on the rear. But like, we can still use foot pan. That's the whole idea. That just hits the back bar there, so perfect. So I'm just going to be reinforcing the underside of this, welding these fenders to the tub. As you guys can see, it's all loosey split there. So I'm going to be welding this in there so that this is nice and solid. And then coming off of here, we'll be building some running boards, adding the clutch pedal in now that I got the board there, that we can figure out exactly where that's going to get mounted to. Freck, for first day in, not bad. Or second day working on it, I guess. First day, like, actually getting stuff looked at. No, wait, this is the first day. I pulled this in today. I pulled this in from back there. Unreal. Amazed myself, I guess. Okay, let's get some more work done, or go have a beer, start editing. One or the other. I'll figure it out. Next day, messy garage. Time to do a little bit of cleaning. But when I was going to bed last night, some of my greatest thoughts are just as I'm going to bed or just as I'm waking up, I find. And I had an idea, as one of my biggest issues with the mower so far is that the diesel engine, when it was clocked into its position, it's way out of line with the rear pulley. And then so I decided I think it'd be best idea if I made this little drive shaft and then went to the front PTO shaft. But after going through some looking and some researching and talking to a few followers and stuff, I found out that this was just set up wrong. The belt on the side was never supposed to be there. That was supposed to be for the PTO. The side shaft was the PTO. The one under the frame, or in the middle of the frame, that's actually where the drive shaft's supposed to go, because the engine actually used to have a drop shaft, or a drop belt, down to a drive shaft. This will make more sense because I'm actually going to rebuild the mower to factory, but with the diesel engine setup and way better drive shaft setup. So it's a lot more work, but it's going to be way more cool. We'll get the center of gravity a little bit lower in the frame. We'll get rid of that stupid boat winch thingy, use that on another project or whatever, because it is cool. It's just not cool in there, especially it's welded into position, so I got to grind it out, and that's not going to be very fun. But first we got to get that engine out and get a lot more other things going. But I'm so happy. This thing's gonna have a drive shaft literally running right up to the mud until the whole belt, which means your ass is gonna be soaking wet at that point if you're getting that close. So unreal. So excited for this build. Let's get right into it, guys. This one is going to be sick.